Alright, so here we are at the range. I've got the gun with the handguard and suppressor removed. I got 10 rounds of 147 grain Supersonics loaded up. In a longer gun, these hit about 1800 feet per second, somewhere in that ballpark. I'm also starting with an H2 buffer because my other guns like that the best as a kind of dual buffer weight that is pretty functional with both supers and subsonics. Another key point I'm going to mention here is that I'm specifically not trying to shoot a group here. I want to string the shots out because my primary goal with these shots is to determine whether the bullet is stable. So I'm perfectly squared up to the target, and I want to see perfectly round holes to ensure that I'm not going to get a baffle strike. And so let's go ahead and do it. Okay, so first impressions, it's got a lot of recoil for 300 blackout, which already has a lot of recoil compared to 5.56. So at least in this configuration with nothing to grab onto up front, it's pretty punchy. My brass is ejecting back to about 4 to 5 o'clock. Pretty much where you want AR brass to eject for the most part. So we got good loading, we got good lockback. So far so good. Let's go take a look at the target. Alright, so as I said, I'm trying to shoot a large group, spread out the shots. Those all look like pretty round holes to me, so that's good. Alright, let's get ready for our next load. Okay, next up I got 10 rounds of 125 grain Sierra Match Kings. These are profiled specifically for 300 blackout, so they get kind of a long ogive. Anyway, they're 125 grain Supersonics. These run close to 2,000 feet per second out of my 9-inch. So here we go. All right, let's go take a look at that target. Another thing, I'm not sure if it's coming through on camera, but the suppressor mount is really ringing loudly. Okay, again, we got a bunch of really good, really round holes. I don't see any cause for concern in terms of projectile stability there. So looking good. Let's get our next load ready. Okay, so for the last of the initial testing loads today, I have some 220 grain Subsonics. So if you look at the V7 website, they state explicitly that the gas port may not be tuned to run Subsonics reliably without a suppressor. So I'm not sure what our gas situation is going to be with these. I'm not sure if they're going to short stroke, especially without the can on. These are loaded to run just under the sonic barrier in my 12.5 inch gun. So they come down a little more than a 9-inch. They're going to come down a good bit more in this gun. You know, it may be that this load even needs to be taken up a little bit for this gun long term. We'll see. I'm not sure what we're going to get in terms of function here, so let's load it up. Take a look. All right, so we did get locked back there with a single round, so let's move on to the bigger stack and see if it continues. Okay, so there was 10 rounds, ran from a nearly full magazine, most of them, and the ejection pattern did get a little wild there. I had some going forward, most going kind of straight at 3 o'clock, a couple going backwards, so kind of all over there. I'm guessing it's kind of at the bleeding edge reliability at this point with this ammo with no can, but overall I'm encouraged. We didn't have any actual failures there, so with a dirty gun I might be concerned that we would. Let's go downrange and take a look. Alright, so again, these holes look pretty round. I got one right there that looks a little funky. Not sure what's going on there. Every other one of these looks perfect, so I got a few more Subsonics. I'll probably shoot the rest of those and just confirm there's nothing weird going on here, and call it a day, and that'll do it. Alright guys, I'm out at the range today doing a little accuracy testing. So just to go over the setup here, I've got the gun, I've got rid of the red dot, and I've got my Trigicon 1 to 8 on there for the accuracy testing today. One of the loads here is going to be a 125 grain Sierra Magic King, so same bullet we shot to test stability before. Now we're going to try and shoot it for accuracy. I got a target downrange at 100 yards. Got 5 rounds loaded up. These are actually factory seconds, but they look good to me. They weigh out nicely. I can't see anything that makes them look like they're seconds, so just something to keep in mind. Also, the charge here is I believe 17.8 grains of H110, and the brass is Remington, so that's everything that's in the load, and let's see how they do. Didn't get locked back there for some reason. All right, let's go check them out. Okay, so here's the group of that Sierra Match King. It's right at about 2.5 inches. So right at 2.5. That's pretty much in line with this load out of my other 300 blackouts. So not bad. I'm not disappointed in that accuracy considering my own shooting ability and what I'm used to seeing out of this cartridge. So not bad. One thing I want to mention at this point in time was the burr that I noted during the assembly near the gas port. So in the initial shooting of this gun, projectile stability checking, following that shooting session, cleaned the barrel, and there was no resistance to patches going through, and the concentricity rod now drops right through. So I can't see anything visually, I can't feel anything in the bore, so it's as if it was never there at this point. As far as I'm concerned, it's going to be a non-issue. Okay, next up we've got a 147 grain FMJ load. I want to point out that this load really does kind of shoot like crap in my other guns. Like, it's really bad. I mean, like 6 inches at 100, something like that. So it's mixed cut down Lake City brass. I want to say about 15.4 grains of H110 and a 147 like M80 pulled FMJ bullet. So again, not the best components, not the most accurate cartridge in the world in the first place. So this is blasting ammo. We're not expecting much, but I do just want to baseline it. So let's see how we do. All right, from here it kind of looks like more of the same from my other guns, but let's go check them out. Okay, here's the group. You can see farthest distance there is right at about 4 inches, maybe just under, depending on where we measure. Under 4 inches there, just under 4 inches there. So I know it's only a 5-round group, but that's really not too bad. I've shot some groups, like I said, with this load, 6 inches or more out of some of my other guns. So I'll shoot a few more, but if this really holds about 4 MOA for me with the load limitations and my shooting ability, I'll be pretty pleased with that. Okay, so next up, we're going to shoot the 110 grain Barnes TAC TX. This is a preferred self-defense or hunting bullet for a lot of people. It's got good expansion. Typically it shoots on the better end of the accuracy scale than my other guns. Also, since this is one of my preferred bullets, I'm going to shoot a 10-round group this time because I am very interested to see exactly what kind of accuracy I'm getting out of this at a consistent basis. So 10 rounds. Let's see how she does. All right, let's go see what they look like. Okay, here we are. This is our 10 round group with the Barnes 110 grain. I've looked it over, and extreme spread here is exactly 3.5 inches right there. Basically, bang on 3.5. I don't know, maybe just an eighth under. Just call it a slightly under 3.5. So that's okay. Honestly, I was hoping for a little bit better out of this bullet. So it's not all on video, but I can tell you that the Sierra Match King is shooting a little bit better in this gun overall, even with these larger sample sizes. So not too bad. Obviously, that's good enough for most any realistic self-defense or short-range hunting that people might use this bullet for. So there it is, about 3.5. Okay, I've moved down here to the 300-yard line, and we got some steel out there at 300 yards, a couple of little 8-inch plates. An 8-inch plate at 300 is pretty tiny for a short gun. So to me, this is what's really cool about the 300 Blackout, and especially the 300 Blackout short barrel rifle. I got a gun here that's basically the size of a pistol caliber carbine, yet with supersonic ammo, you can reach out several hundred yards if you want. I'm really just doing some Kentucky windage. I've got a ballistic chart from my 9-inch gun. I've not chronoed the loads out of this 6-inch gun, so I'm just going off, just kind of guesstimating that they're going to be a little bit slower than they are out of the 9-inch, and just using the drop chart I have for the 9-inch gun with this bullet. And I'm going to see if I can make some connections on this 8-inch plate out here at 300. My chart for the 9-inch shows a come up at 3.1 mils at 300 yards with a 100-yard zero. So let's see how it goes. Hit. Hit. And hit. So I was actually holding maybe about 3.3, 3.4 mils there. Again, just kind of a guess because I have not chronoed this load yet. So that's really cool to me. I love the 300 Blackout for this reason. Just the tiny package, but you stick some supersonic ammo in there and you can reach out a bit. So really cool. I'm really happy with that. Alrighty guys, welcome back to the range today. Doing some carbine drills today, so I figured why not bring out the 6.5 300 Blackout and give it a go. So primarily what I'm shooting today is a drill called the T-Rex Arms 50 round carbine drill. So if you're not familiar with that, it's a 50 round USPSA style drill that's scored on essentially minor hit factor, with one exception being the D's count for 0 points. I'm not sure why they felt the need to make that change, just to be different I guess, but
Everything else is the same as USPSA minor scoring, so 5 points for an A, 3 points for a C, and 0 points and -10 for a mic. So for those who don't know my history or haven't seen my other videos, I've shot USPSA at a very high level in the past. I'm a production grandmaster, been on the Super Squad Nationals, so I'm very familiar with competitive shooting in general, but my history with that is really 100% pistol. So this year I've been trying to get some more rifle work in, get my rifle skills going a little bit, so I figured I'd work this gun into that. So I don't have the patience today to film this more than one time, so I'm going to shoot it once, and good, bad, or ugly, it's going to be shown here. So here we go. Alright, here we are. So I already counted up the hits to save time. All of them are there. I'm a little disappointed in 2 C's on the head there. That's dropping some points I didn't have to drop. Center target, again, all the hits are there. Counted them up. And so we'll review the points shortly. Then over here, yep, we got a problem. One of those 25-yard headshots, I dropped low right there, so that is actually a miss, unfortunately. So obviously just totally my own fault, and something to improve on for next time. So we'll put up the total points and hit factor now. Okay, so just a few thoughts post-drill. It is what it is. 5.7 is okay. I've shot it better before, and one thing I'll comment on this gun in particular, obviously with the 1 power or the variable mag scope on there and the suppressor, in this configuration loaded, it is a pretty heavy gun, so I'm going to be full of excuses here, but just things I've observed. I do think the transitions are a little slower with this gun versus some of my lighter 5.56 ARs. Obviously unsuppressed and using lighter ammunition and a red dot instead of the scope. The way the gun really does come into play most on, I would say, the transitions and also managing that reload. Trying to hold the gun up with one hand during that reload is not the easiest thing to do, just considering the weight of that suppressor out front. So just something to keep in mind with a build like this. And also, most of my time shooting rifles has been with red dots, and right now I'm still kind of working out the transitions and how I have to position my head and exactly what I have to do to have a fast transition with the 1X with this scope. So overall though, it's really not too bad. I'll continue to work on it.